Well, I mean, there's a lot more social currency in sticking to your guns than accepting new information, and that's a fucking problem.
Right.
Right? Why the fuck? Where in the Socratic method does it say to bury your head in the sand?
Right, exactly. I mean, you go on social media right now, man, and it's like every person on both sides. It's like, how can I just dunk on the other person? I'm going to do this quote tweet, and how can I just dunk on this other person as hard as possible? And it's like, that is not conducive to helping anything that is going on right now. And I'll be honest, I mean, I've done it. We've all taken part of it because that's the way to build an audience. I totally get that. But I mean, I think it's what has divided us so deeply right now is all this social media dunking and thinking that exactly what you were saying about being right, man. So
I said this earlier, you go to a lot of college campuses and stuff like that. A lot of your Prager videos talk to college kids, I think, the man on the street stuff. How have you been, and you speak at stuff too, how have you been received on college campuses typically? Because everyone obviously knows the sort of like insane stuff that you might see at Cal Berkeley if there's a conservative, if like Ben Shapiro shows up or something, and there's like fucking desks getting thrown through windows and shit. But a lot of times too, those are the ones that make the headlines. But a lot of times too, a speaker shows up and no one even knows what the hell's going on, right? Like you just show up, you give your speech and leave. What is your average experience on a college campus, and then what is kind of the most insane thing you've experienced in terms of being a conservative speaker showing up?
Yeah, I mean, the majority of times there's a lot of good kids and people who come from the area who just want to hear me speak and do a book signing or whatever it is, man. And it's like, for the most part, it's pretty good. I mean, usually afterwards, there will be some leftists who maybe write a piece about me for their school newspaper who are in the audience, or, maybe ask me a dumb question or something like that. I wish that some of the leftists who would come and potentially ask questions would actually ask better questions, because I know that they go on Twitter, like this one guy spoke at University of New Mexico. And he comes to the event. He doesn't say anything. I don't even know this person's there. And then I go on Twitter like an hour later after the event, and this guy has done this whole thread basically saying why Will Witt sucks, why Will Witt's a racist. These are the things that I said during my event. And I'm like, this seems like a damn highlight reel. He's coming and saying all my best lines from the event, but he was trying to slander me. And it's like, dude, you had the entire time to go up to the Q&A, ask me a question, tell me what you think. And you chose not to. You chose to just go on Twitter and bitch about me afterwards and say what's wrong. It's like you had every opportunity to do that. I spoke at University of Maryland about 3 weeks ago for my book tour, and I had 50 protesters show up to my event, right? 50 protesters. One of them's got this sign that says Will Witt is a racist and a liar. And I go up to him. I even tell the security, I'm like, yo, you guys chill out. Like, I'm just going to go up to him myself. I don't want you coming with me. It's intimidating. And I go up and I'm like, man, I'm sure that conservatives had said some lies about you guys. I'm sure that you guys have heard some lies about me. Why don't we have a conversation and talk about it? And what do? I mean, they start screaming at me. They're cursing at me, yelling obscenities at me. None of them would have a conversation. I said, come to the event. You can be first in line for the Q&A. There's a row that is reserved for you. Not one of them showed up to the event. And it's like, I give these people every single opportunity to come and talk to me and not feel like I'm trying to silence them or anything. And none of them ever do it, man. They don't come to the events and they don't want to talk.
Based on University of Maryland basketball fans, that might have just been normal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So,
we were talking about turtles before the show, or early in the show too. Yeah.
Yeah, we have the picture of the.
Oh yeah, turtle. Put that up on the screen. Did you see that? Yeah, that's basically the same guy. The glasses are a little bit smaller, and there's no hat on the right, but that's the same dude. So, are we done here?
Yeah. Have you ever needed your security? I know you said you're like, you're fine. Like, I can go talk to them. Have you ever actually been like escorted away, like you would see on some of the crazier, I guess, like Twitter highlights of a college speaker?
The times that here's one. I spoke at University of Northern Colorado this spring, right? And the security was supposed to be there for me, to protect me. All right. I get there, and this is in Colorado, and they're like, hey, you have to wear a mask while you speak. I'm like, the hell I am? You think I'm wearing a mask while I speak? That's ridiculous. So I get up on stage and I tell them I'm not going to cater to your delusions. I take my mask off and they cut my mic. Right. And then about 50 Black Lives Matter protesters, all people in the back, they start screaming. They're slamming on tables. They're threatening the other students and people who came to hear me speak. They're flipping tables. I mean, they're going apeshit, right? These people are going absolutely crazy at my event. And so I'm trying to give my speech while yelling over these people. It's not going well. The police then come up to me and they come up to me on the stage and they say, "Hey, Will, you got to leave." I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, are you going to kick these protesters out?" They're like, "No, you're making people unsafe because you didn't wear a mask." I'm like, "You got to be kidding me." And so they kick me off campus. They kick me off campus and let these hooligans just totally make a mess and a mockery of the entire event. And they kick me off campus. Luckily, there was about, I don't know, maybe 150 people left who still came to come and see me. And I took them out onto the street right outside of campus and gave the speech to them outside because I wasn't going to be silenced by these people. But it was, that's the level of sometimes even the security. You're supposed to have them there for you. And then they come and they kick you off for some reason. So, that's how it is.
Well, I would think that black people would be at the White House protesting vaccine mandates because they're having a far more disproportionate effect on black people than any conservative author I know is. You know what I mean? I mean, if you look in New York, 65% of people, black people there, are being basically excluded from public life now because they refuse to let the government inject shit into their bodies again. Which, I mean, the debate about efficacy and safety of vaccines has nothing to do with this, because I don't think that's even a debate. I don't care about that shit. The debate is, fuck you. I'm not going to do what you tell me, which used to be, a good song, and now it seems a little weird.